the family would like to share some things with everyone, some stories, some memories. And after that, we're going to open the floor up to anybody else who would like to come up and share memories. Oh dear. Okay. Mom, she was, you know, every one of us is unique. And how can you say that somebody was extra unique? But I kind of feel like Mom was extra unique. But growing up, I'm going to tell you, you try to teach your kids good values and all of that. And so I want to share a couple of stories about what Mom taught us growing up. And one of the things was she would not comment on anyone's looks, ever. She wouldn't say that lady's pretty, or that one's not so pretty, or look at those funny clothes, or any, those two don't go together. You know why. Anyway, growing up, all we heard was pretty is as pretty does. If you said to my mother, isn't that lady pretty? She'd say, I don't know. I don't know her. And I go, well, I know, but just looking at her, isn't she pretty? Couldn't tell you. I don't know. And I never, like, a magazine cover, isn't she pretty? Pretty is as pretty does, I don't know her, couldn't tell you. So, and because we kind of looked like this growing up, but another thing was our savings program. Mom told us growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, and I'm sitting next to an old friend, and he said, I remember your mother recorded everything she spent. And I said, yes, she did. And he said, down to the penny. And I said, yes, she did. And he said, down to the penny. Yeah. So there came a time when she said, you know, Harry and I can't afford to send you guys to college. We don't have that kind of money. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a savings program for you. And whatever you put in the bank, up to $50 a month, we're going to match. So you put in 50, we'll put in 50. You put in 25, we'll put in 25. If you go over, you can do that. I'd recommend it. It's just that you won't get matched. But there was a rule. And the rule was you could not withdraw money. Period. You withdrew, that was the end of the program. You didn't get to jump back in, you were done. All three of us girls were able to buy our cars when we got old enough because of the savings program. So, I had to go to the dentist a lot when I was a kid. I had a sister that would be in the other room in the dentist's office, and I would hear them going, look at her teeth, oh my God, look at her teeth. Hey, come in here, look at her teeth. And everybody in the whole dentist's office had to go in and look at Anne's teeth. And then they would come in and say, okay, you got a cavity, you got a cavity. And nobody came to look at my teeth. But I had to go to the dentist a lot. And Mom just made it was no big deal. You just go to the dentist, you gotta go to the dentist, you go to the dentist, no big deal. Well, some years later, a lot of years later, I'm talking to Mom on the phone, and she's like, oh, I've got to go to the dentist tomorrow. Oh my God, I hate going to the dentist so much. I detest it, and now I've got to go to the dentist. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't mind going to the dentist? She says, I hate the dentist. And I said, when I was growing up, you took me to the dentist all the time, and it was no big deal. She said, well, I didn't want you to be scared of the dentist, too. Something I learned from Mom, and you all know this one. She said, if you get invited somewhere, you don't turn it down, you go. Because you turn it down, and you might not get invited the next time. So, Mom, as you know, was always up for a party. One of the hardest things about planning today was that she wasn't going to be here with everybody that she loved so much to be here and join the party in person, but that was a mom. You just don't say no. She's here in spirit.
And there, Captain.
Okay. Mom loved to sing. She loved to dance. What she lacked in technique, she made up for in enthusiasm. We all know that. And volume. Okay. Mom could laugh at herself. When we were getting ready to go to Africa in 1995, I was going to the library and I was getting books to read, preparing for this trip. And I would tell her, oh, you need to get this book. So I was telling her about this book, a father and son who were at the Serengeti measuring the animals one by one, you know, the count of them, whatever. And so I said, yeah, you really should get this book. So she went to the Glendale Public Library. They didn't have the book. So she's like, okay, well, I couldn't get it there. So she tried Pasadena, and she tried Burbank, and she tried downtown LA, and nobody had the book. So she says, she's now working it out with me. Okay, you're in Thousand Oaks, maybe you can get me the book, and then I have to get it back to you before the library time runs out. And she says, okay, so I'll go, and the name of the book, it's There Will Always Be a Serengeti. I'm like, no. It's Serengeti Will Not Die. It was close. She laughed about that forever. And everybody, okay, I can't imagine there's anybody in the room that doesn't know that Mom loves salt.
Yes.
Well, cleaning out her house, I came across this container, and it had a little label on it, which I just think is the funniest thing. Maybe it's just me, but Eva's salt. You may borrow some. IOUs must be legible, dated, and Mom never minded being an individual. She didn't worry about what everybody else was going to say or think. And when we were kids, well, you all know she bicycled. And she took a bunch of colored straws and she slit them long ways. And she slid them onto the spokes of the bicycle wheels so that when she was out bicycling, the wheels were all colorful. And Ray, does that put some kind of a drag on your bike when you're running around with straws on it? I don't know. But online now, you can go get bicycle wheel jewelry. So I think Mom was way ahead of her time.
She was always ahead of her.
And then, of course, there's Mom. Mom always wanted a tiara. A couple of years ago, she was so excited. She called me and she goes, I finally got my tiara. I said, really? And she said, yes, I found one in the stem of my head, and it's gorgeous, and I'm going to wear it everywhere. I'm like, okay. And she said, and I already wore it to lunch with Susie and Sharon, and they loved it. Thank you, Susie and Sharon. I guess they would come up to a restaurant and say, oh, is it your birthday? And she'd say, yeah. And you couldn't have a tribute to Mom without mentioning this guy. Oh, this is, I don't know if I can do this. Harry's daughter's patent party. Some of you never met Harry, but there are a lot of people in this room that knew him. This man that married my mother when we were little children, and when my grandmother said, nobody's going to marry a woman with 4 little kids and start all over raising a family, and my mother said, Harry's going to do it, and he did. And he was there for us just like we were his own kids. There was no difference. I don't know how we got that lucky, and it brought Pat and Bonnie into our lives. And anyway, we were all on a cruise together. And for those of you that know Harry, he was very low-key. And sometimes you sit there and you think he was napping while you're talking all around him. And then...
Sometimes he was.
And then all of a sudden, he would just say something really funny that was based on everything that everybody had been saying. And it was like, oh, I was asleep. So we were in Istanbul. And in Istanbul, you can hardly move 10 feet without being accosted by rug merchants who have, oh, come to my shop, have some tea, or I'll take you on a tour of the city, and it always ends at a rug merchant shop. And so we did that whole thing. We went, saw the rugs made, and we're on the cruise ship later on, and Harry and Mom and I are standing in the elevator. Well, what Harry did was outside of one of the shops, Mom and I were running in and out of the shop, so he was just leaning against the wall in front of the little shop. And everybody that walked by, he'd say, "Want to buy a rug?" Want to buy a rug? Later on, when we came to pick him up, we're like, "Oh, sorry we were so long, were you bored?" He's like, "No." We're like, "Oh, well, good. Well, what were you doing?" Well, I was asking people if they wanted to buy a rug. The guy came out from the store. He offered to hire me. And he said people would go by and they wouldn't even turn to look at him. Or sometimes they would, and then they'd be like, "Whoa, that's not what they expected." So we get on the ship, and we're on this elevator, and this couple gets on, and Harry's just very deadpan goes, "Want to buy a rug?" And the man says, "I don't know, what's the thread count?" And Harry says, 50. And I said, "Harry, that's really crummy rug." He goes, "Yeah, it's a cheap rug." So Mom and I laughed about that forever. Okay, and I'm just going to leave you with what was one of Mom's favorite jokes. And it's about a man who wrote for a newspaper, and he traveled around the country. And he stopped in little towns to write about the little small town experience. And one day he stops at a town in the Midwest, and they're having a street fair. So he starts walking along at the street fair, going from booth to booth, and he realizes it is hot out. It is really hot. And he's just sweating, and a lady walks by with a fan, and he thinks, that's what I need, a fan. Well, a couple booths later, there's a lady, she's selling fans. But they're $5. And I'm sure my mom liked this part of it too. Okay, the fans are $5. And he's thinking, $5 for a fan, and I'm not even going to use it that much. Yeah, I'll bet I can find something a little bit cheaper. Well, he walks a little bit further, and here's this little booth, a little Oriental guy, and here's fans for 50 cents. And he's like, score. That's what I wanted, 50 cents. I don't mind spending. That's why this is a monster, right? Got it. Okay. So he buys his fan, and he starts walking away with the fan. Well, it falls apart. He only gets about 2 booths further, and it falls apart. So he goes back, and he says, this fan, I got it, I used it 2 booths 5 minutes ago, and it's already fallen apart. And the guy says, well, how do you use it? And he said, like fan. And the man says, oh, no, that's a $5 fan. For a 50-cent fan, I never pulled a fan outside of my purse again without Mom going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Grimes. I'm the husband of Mary Ellen King, who's the youngest daughter of Eva. I'm here because Eva's son, Mike, lives in the Philippines with his family, and he could not be here today. So he asked me to read this message to you. Here we go. This is from Mike. I miss my mom. I know that everyone here shares that sentiment with me. I don't know if the great distance that separated me from her for the past 2 years made her permanent absence either easier or more difficult to bear, but it's certainly not easy. So many times during the past 2 months, I've headed to our office room to visit with her via Skype, the way I usually do, only to realize before trying to call that no one would be there to answer. I know that my mother would not advise me to grieve incessantly for her. And that is not the purpose for our gathering today. We are here to celebrate her life, not mourn her death. The mourning serves no practical purpose. It is merely an exercise in self-pity. So how do we celebrate the life of someone dear to us? For me, there is no greater way to do this than to live by, disseminate, pass on those positive traits, philosophies, and values that made her the unique and valued person that we remember. I do not claim to be good at this, but in concurrence with a philosophy of continuous improvement that I learned from her, I will claim to constantly strive to be a better person, to be more tolerant of others and their different lifestyles, beliefs, and attitudes, to be more patient, more thoughtful, more caring. These are the values that I aspire to as a means of celebrating her life. And finally, Mike says, as my daughter grows and I strive to influence her to be a person of value to herself and others, I think of what my mother taught and would continue to teach her only grandchild. Should my daughter succeed in being even somewhat like my mother, I could consider my raising of her to be a success. And this is how I celebrate the life of my mother, and it's a lifelong endeavor. Thank you, Mike.
Due to technical difficulties, there will be a brief pause while my darling husband cues up a few pictures for my remarks. I'm aware of lighting. I'm not sure